Welcome back to another episode of the Pickle Pulse. I am your host, Brian Green, and tonight we have our favorite co-host, the one and only Christy Barker.
Hey.
What's up? What's up?
Good to see you.
You as well.
I know, it's been a minute.
Yeah, well,
I say that every time.
some of us have to take vacations from time to time.
Okay.
And
all right.
as always, I go to vacation. I'm very excited about it. And I get there 4 days later, and then I feel unproductive, and I start worrying about all the things I'm not doing and have a hard time just enjoying the moment.
Right.
Help me, therapist Christy.
Well, I can't, because if I were in your shoes, I'd have FOMO too, because all this stuff is happening back home with pickleball and stuff like that. So I don't know that I'm much help there.
No, I literally grabbed my wife on like Thursday morning and said, so we found some pickleball courts down there.
Okay.
It was cool. So there were 6 brand new pickleball courts. There was play
awesome.
every morning, and I'm talking about the courts were packed. The problem is there was no quality play. So it was, I showed up once, I said, okay. And then Jeff Jones was down there, another good player.
Yeah, okay.
And we were planning to put together a good game that just exploded. So then we went back to those courts and played with all the locals. But long story short is I looked at my wife and I said, everyone at home is getting better. and I'm here at the beach.
Right.
And that just shows how crazy we pickleballers are.
Right. Side note, we could do a whole other podcast about how all the courts are so crowded and like how that is handled.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because it is very tricky to navigate different levels of play when you're at your own home courts, let alone traveling and trying to find some good play.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's one of those things where I'd like to say there are websites or apps or something that could help us. But most of my experiences with those, like I know you can reach out to people through Duper in different areas that you're going to, but no one ever hits you back.
Right.
Especially when you're looking for a 5-0 game. They're like, you really 5-0, bro? You really?
Right. Show the video, see it, roll the tapes.
It's like, I don't believe you're Duper.
Right. So tricky.
Yes. Well, we are here to break down yet another PPA event. I believe it is the San Clemente. Gosh, I'm going to butcher this, so let's pull it up here. And it is, here it was. It is the Select Medical Orange County Cup. Now, that's a whole lot to remember. Let's just say quality pickleball came out of California.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed it. So we want to do our 10 from the weekend.
Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll get right into it.
Love it.
And say number 10, the venue. San Clemente is beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous. Saw some pictures from some friends that were there. It's just a stunning backdrop. And then on top of that, or to confirm that, if you will, you've got the commentators talking about that constantly. They're like, look at this view. You know, you hear Michelle McMahon and Dave Fleming just talking about how beautiful it is and how much the pros love it there as well.
For sure. And as a person who is going to start traveling to events more and more, I put it on my list. I feel like if you're going to travel to a PPA, why not go there where one of the best venues is around? Everyone loves it. And so next year it's on my little list of targeted events. I can't commit to it.
It's a good way to say it.
But targeted events. And I think you guys should too, because I mean, if the pros love it, it's beautiful. It's California. It would definitely be fun. Also, as an East Coaster, I want to go west and see how I do against those guys.
That's true.
So
yeah,
I hear the pickleball's pretty good out there.
Yeah. Well, cost of living is higher out there as well. So I'd be very curious to know what that lifetime costs to be a member of, because mine's expensive here.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious.
No,
my goodness, I don't want to know.
I recently checked into a single membership of Lifetime just to see, and it's like $185 a month, $199. I mean, it's kind of crazy for a single person.
Crazy.
And so I got to imagine it's $400 a month out there.
Yeah. Gotta be.
If you live in Cali and you're watching, if you know what it costs, we certainly would love. Maybe one day we'll step up to that level.
Right.
All right, number 9. We had some local stars kick some butt out west.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk first about our boy, Mr. Jonathan Trung. He was on the pod not too long ago, and he played in a 62 team qualifier for
just
men's
nuts.
Doubles. I mean, just think about that. 62 teams just to get into the main draw. And our boy, he did work.
He did.
He
Let's
finished
go,
third.
LJ.
LJ, let's go.
Yeah.
Hey, I knew he had it, and he does too, man. When I talk to him, he's just so sharp, and he's into pickleball, and he's playing at such a high level right now, and it's just cool to see the results come behind that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So he made it out of qualies and into the main draw.
He did.
And he faced Mr. Kwang Dong.
Yes.
Who everybody is talking about in the pickleball world right now, especially locally when we're coming off of having watched Kwang Dong when he played at MLP DC and lit the place up as a fill-in. So I know he's been in a lot of our local chatter lately of just how well he's playing. So then to have our local boy play him and in the first round of the main draw was pretty cool to see.
Well, and Kwang was playing with Donald Young, which is, I don't want to say tennis legend, but he was definitely a high-level tennis pro who's transitioned over and is getting better and better. And it's cool to see that partnership. I don't know exactly where that came from, but they held their own. I mean, it was 11-7, 11-7. So it wasn't a blowout. They definitely belong. And I'm just looking forward to seeing him. He's a youngin'.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of time to grow into those shoes and get better and better.
Yeah. Pretty cool to see.
Absolutely. Another one of our local stars went out west and did well. Miss Sarah Hua.
Sarah Hua, yeah.
Yeah. And then also Sarah Pham.
Yes.
Who I met. She's out of Pennsylvania and made the main draw. And then from the main draw, she took down her first round and ended up losing in the second. And gosh.
They did. I think they played Elise Jones and Irina Terashenko in the second.
That's what it was. And that's why I saw it.
Super excited for that one.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that was a match, like of all the heavy hitters in the pro draw, thank goodness they weren't playing Anna Lee first round and they're not going up against Rachel Rohrbacher first round, that sort of thing, Anna Bright. I thought that this was like a reasonable second round for them. And I'm like, they can do it.
Yeah.
They can do it. And they didn't pull out the win, but it was still pretty cool to see.
Yeah. And I'm pumped for them because, again, just getting better and better, young players coming up, and we're seeing more and more of that. And, that's what we want for the sport.
Yeah.
So very, very cool. Number 8, speaking of Elise Jones and Irina Terashenko, they tore through the field this tournament and made a run all the way to like the quarterfinals, the semifinals. I think it might even be semis.
Yeah, I would have to double check that, but they had quite a run. They just played really well together. Elise, I know, is coming off of a tough weekend where she got news. She went from Premier to Challenger League. And so to come off tough news, that's kind of, and I'm totally making assumptions. I'm just trying to put myself in her shoes, practice some empathy.
For sure.
That would be tough. And to have a good tournament showing after that, I was really happy for her. We love Elise. We were cheering her on the DC pickleball team. We're sad to see her go.
100%. And she gave everything she could.
She
on
always
that court.
does.
And really, in the doubles side, she was solid. It was just she sort of let us down in the Dream Breakers and had a hard time putting the ball away because it was so hot. But we picked up Vivian Glausman for that trade. So I'm glad you brought that up. Vivian is Alex Trung's old partner in the APP.
Yep.
They won a bunch and did really, really well. She disappeared for a while, but her game is still legit as I watched her play.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to having her on DC's team.
Yeah. Good.
Number 7, men's singles is crazy out of control good right now. And I say that because, number 1, there were, 105 qualifiers.
It's nuts.
trying to get into the main draw at this. And everything is getting so tight. Every match is good. Anyone can win and or lose, as we've seen with Ben losing again and again and again this season. And Federico Staksrud holds on to his number 1 spot by making the finals, but he faces a giant in Mr. Chris Hayworth, who ran through the field, had some studly wins, and, oh, by the way, he was the guy that took out Ben Johns.
Yes.
So I saw the post-match interview, and he said, last time I played him, I held with him. I was tight. Not that he was tight in his play, but it was a tight match. And he said, I took that match and that loss because I think he ended up losing in the third 11-8. And he says, I learned some things, and I hoped that my experience would help me get over the top. And it did this time, and he was super pumped.
So awesome.
And then how cool is that he beats Ben Johns and Staxrud for his first ever PPA gold.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, just awesome. The other side note is that he was playing with the gearbox the first time that he beat Ben, 6-8 months ago or something like that. He's now switched over to these Babolat paddles. Have you seen these, Christy? I know you're not a paddle geek like I am.
I am not. You're the one I would turn to.
Yes.
You and Mike Strain.
Yes. So these Babolat paddles that they have dropped, I am so intrigued. And I wanted to know to you guys, have you seen them on the courts? In DC and Virginia, I have yet to see one other than buying them through Babolat. I haven't seen one in a store. So if you're playing with it or if you've seen them, let me know what you think, because at this point, they've got to be a rocket ship. The way that he's hitting those drives and shaping the ball, I have to believe it's a quality paddle.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't be that good where he's playing with like an Adidas inferior paddle.
Right.
So, Babolat paddles. Might want to check them out.
Looking out.
Yeah.
Another quick thing I want to say about singles, because I was having a conversation with some pickleball friends on Saturday evening. Ben Johns had lost at this point, and we were getting ready to go into Championship Sunday, which also on Championship Sunday is not just championship matches, it's also the bronze medal matches. And we had a conversation of, do we think Ben Johns is going to show up for the bronze medal match? Because when, goodness, it wasn't that long ago, 6 months, a year ago, when we weren't doing progressive draws, when that wasn't a thing yet, and we were doing, double elimination tournaments, people would feed into the bronze medal match. And if somebody went to the loser's bracket, a lot of times pros would withdraw and drop out.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of curious. We were having that same conversation of, is he gonna show up or not? And I was really glad to see he showed up and played the bronze medal match against Tyson.
At this point, it's kind of important for him. He needs those couple of extra points to kind of keep him to the running. He can't just walk away and go, you know what, I'm going to be number one again next week, whether I play this or not.
Right. That's true. He needs every point he can get.
Yeah.
Because there are consistently people watching him, breathing down his neck, trying to get to that number one spot. Now his number two spot that he owns. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
interesting.
I don't want to say I feel for Ben because he's probably going to make $3 million this year playing pickleball.
He will.
But at the same time, everyone has been nipping at his heels, and it seems like a lot of people have caught up now. Also, the changes in paddles, the changes in balls, just there's been a lot of different things this year that has caused him to not be the standout number one any longer. And
which, if you think you gave everybody the same paddle and everybody the same ball, does Ben Johns rise? Does his skill level take him to the number one spot when you take away all these variables?
I would say yes, but outside of that, only because of his pickleball IQ as well. He's been doing it longer than everyone else. He's been pro since 2017 or so. So yeah, if all the equipment was exactly the same, I do think he has a big advantage over the field.
Right.
Do you agree, disagree?
I agree, absolutely. And it almost makes me want to go there.
Yeah.
like take out all these variables and let's let natural skill and talent and hard work that you've done to hone your craft take over.
Yeah.
I would prefer that.
Well, it sounds like a lot of conversations I've been hearing about the power paddles and, just the changing of the game and where are we going to draw the line? Because I will say playing right now is a lot of fun. Lots of hand battles, lots of drives, different paddles that do different things.
Right.
So I'm not hating on the innovation in the game, but at the same time, there are a couple of paddles, gearbox, that I hate playing against. And when I see someone with that paddle, I immediately am like, ugh.
Right.
Now I've got to deal with, if this guy hits a good drive, it's going to be trouble.
Right. Well, and not to mention how quick that makes the game. I love long rallies, and we know that. You've heard that from me before. I love point construction and development and seeing many different variety of shots within a point. I step back on a line when I'm serving and I tell myself long rally, like I want to drag this out. I like playing. I like that point construction. That I'm not a fan when it's just drive, crash, done. And, if I had better hand speed and hand-eye coordination, I would probably say this is a blast. I can keep up, but it's just not, it's interesting. It's more boring to watch, but being a part of it is enjoyable.
I will say that the last time I had to play against a gearbox, it was in Kevin Walker's hand, who already hits it really hard.
Yeah.
And he hit a drive from behind the baseline that was so hard, it hit me in the chest and left the, the circle marks from the ball. I didn't even have time to react. I barely moved my paddle up towards it before that thing got me.
Right.
And I go, that's not where you want it to be, because I don't get caught, especially from the baseline, that often.
Right.
I won't say
That's
I
tough.
don't, but that's tough. Yeah. So
interesting.
our take on power paddles.
Yeah.
Number 6, Zane and Riley lose to Jack Monroe and Julian Arnold.
Is that who they lost to?
Yes.
I actually didn't even see that.
Okay.
I didn't know Riley Newman was in this tournament. I'm
No.
bad.
No,
I'm delinquent.
no.
Oh my gosh.
The
You're
crazy-
blowing my mind.
The crazy thing is he's playing with Zane, which is kind of a weird partnership,
it's an
because
interesting
Zane's so
partnership.
nice and Riley's so Riley. And Jack Monroe, and the reason I brought this up is Zane's boy. They train together all the time, and he's one of these up and coming studs. And then Julian Arnold, who hasn't had a great year, he and Jack played really well together.
They played great together. I saw their semifinal match. I didn't realize who that they had defeated to get to that point. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it was a great match to watch.
Yeah.
And cool thing about Jack Monroe as well, that he's ambidextrous. He plays with both hands.
Yeah. I saw that in one of his matches. Yeah.
Just crazy to have a forehand with the left and a forehand with the right. Only in pickleball or baseball, I guess. They're switch hitters.
That's true.
There we go. Number 5, Hayden Patriquin is the effing man. How do you like that? All right. This guy, when I saw him in MLP, he's barely to my nose high, and he is so beast mode. I think everyone on tour is terrified of him at this point.
Right.
And he plays lights out.
Right. All the fans love him. I mean, everybody I've spoken to is just all about Big H. Like, it's pretty cool, the swag that he has too. I mean, he's like, he knows he's doing well right now. And he's, I don't think he's arrogant. Like, he's a confident player, as he should be. And he's backing up everything that everybody's saying about him right now. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is that a couple of weeks ago, he goes to the finals and he wins with Staxrud.
Yep.
And then this week, he goes to the finals with Pablo.
Right.
And gets second. So maybe Staxrud does inch out Pablo just a little bit.
That's exactly what Federico is saying to himself wherever he is, and saying probably to Pablo as well. But yeah, to get first and second with teammates that were previously paired together, and then to also have a very good run in mixed with Vivian Glausman to take out Anna Bright and James Ignatowicz in 2 games really quickly. Like, that's a stellar weekend that he is having with now variety of partners spanning multiple weeks. Like, that's hard to do, to get on the medal stand on its own, but to do that with multiple partners consistently. He is the man.
He is a left side beast.
Yes.
And he's so quick. He's not huge or big. The other thing is that he and Pablo finally got the Johns brothers. And that interview was awesome because they're so fired up. And Hannah Johns, of course, is doing the interview. And she says, Pablo, what did it take? How did you get past the Johns bros? And he just looks and he goes, Big H. He's like, I'm 0-45 against the Johns until Big H.
Right.
So that was really cool to see those guys finally overcome that.
Yeah.
I think there are certain people on tour right now, and the biggest one that comes to mind is JW and Dylan, that sort of have a block on the Johns bros, and or they have them figured out.
Yes.
And especially JW, because he and Georgia can't beat Annalie and Ben in mixed either, even though they've had so many match points against them, and they seem to just give it away, which they did this past weekend as well.
Yeah, they were up 9-3 and then 10-4. They had 10-4 on their paddle in the third game and couldn't close it out.
Which it's got to be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I wonder what that feels like, what that conversation is like.
Yeah. Well, the commentators were mentioning just Georgia looked kind of tight, like she was getting a little nervous, like just knowing your opponents are capable of a big comeback. And that's exactly what happened. That's just heartbreaking to not be able to close it out.
Yep. And so they end up in the bronze medal match. Anna and Ben go to the gold medal match, where they are going to face Parento and Alshon. Mixed is awesome.
Yeah.
Mixed is so cool because the girls have to hold their own, and the alpha levels of the guys right now, they seem to be all over the court. Everyone has learned how to play based on what Ben has shown them over the past couple of years. And it's just really fun to watch.
It is.
And very entertaining.
Yeah.
So congrats to Big H.
Yep.
You were the man, sir. And
so awesome. I can't wait to see who he pairs with next time.
Yeah.
Like, because you're going to the medal stand.
The crazy thing is, will he be a top 5 player by the end of the year? Because there are some other peeps who have been sliding a bit.
Yeah. That's a really great question, and actually one that I've kind of been reflecting on over the past couple of weeks. Because when I came into pickleball, it was Ben and Simone, and Ben and Matt Wright.
Yep.
That was your mixed team, and that was your men's team. And of course, the landscape has changed over time, where we're not seeing Matt Wright on the medal stand consistently. He has done it recently. Simone's not even the PPA anymore.
Nope.
So it's just like very curious of like, I can think back to that time 3 to 4 years ago, and here we are with all these brand new names that have emerged in the last 3 to 4 years, most of them in the last year. When you think of Jack Sock and Hayden Patriquin and Rachel Rohrbacher, like these people are coming out of nowhere. So yeah, could Hayden be top 5? He certainly could be. He's on the trajectory. If you look at a graph of like his skill increasing, it's like shooting straight up.
For sure.
He could be, but I agree with your point of there are just so many other people we're watching. Like Kwang Dong's another one. Like that. Oh my gosh! Like thought he was good at singles, and then all of a sudden started proving himself in men's and mixed at an MLP event, and everybody's looking at him saying, "Who are you, and where are you going to go?" That's
right. And then you've got guys like Andre Diascu. Don't forget about him because he's gone. He'll be back. And Gabe Tardio and some of these other young players that are out there.
Don't forget about Jack Sock.
There you go.
Like there's just yeah. So could he be top 5? He certainly could. I'm not willing to put my money there.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to continue to make a splash. And I think he's off to a great start this year to be medaling with many different partners.
For sure. And I like to see the mix up at the top. It seems like every tournament we're seeing some new and different faces, which is really cool.
Makes it more exciting.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. Number 4. James and Anna were sick this weekend.
Yeah.
And just got totally busted out early.
They want a do-over, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I know Anna's one of your favorite players.
She is.
She's beast mode. I'm not going to take anything away from her, and that's why I wanted to pose this question to you. James has been on a slide for the past couple of months since his injury. Talking is hard. Should we be worried about that partnership? And furthermore, just how James is going to finish out through the rest of the year. Because I'm a little worried as a DC pickleball fan. I mean, he's supposed to be one of our top guns and didn't really play great at this last event.
That's a good question. Should we be worried? I think you're answering the question right now. You are worried as a fan watching one of your favorite players. I think that speaks to, I think the worrying is already happening. Yeah, he's certainly not performing at the level that we expect him to, but is that because people are catching up to him? Maybe he's not going backwards. Maybe everybody else is rising up. I mean, you reach certain points where plateaus happen. That's the name of the game. So is he just in a plateau? Is he still recovering? Does he still have more in the tank? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah. Well, to answer my own question, you just pointed out, I am worried. But at the same time, I do think the injury may be lingering. He was sick this past weekend, so I'll make up a bunch of excuses in hopes that he can pull it out, because I think he and Anna make a great team. I mean, they've proved that they can win. They didn't finish it like Anna has done with other players.
Right.
But he's a good player, and I'm rooting for him. So James Ignatowicz, come on, man.
He's... Yeah, just a little unsteady right now, but he can pull it out.
Yeah, agreed. Number 3, Julian Arnold. Okay, this guy is fiery on the court. He's mumbling to himself as he walks away, and I guess it was a little louder than he thought. But he's pulling a Brian Green and he's going, "You effing bastard! What are you doing? That's not a shot."
All right.
And the ref calls him on it. And then he gets into it with the ref, and
I said, I'm just talking to myself here. And the ref said, we'll deduct a point.
Exactly right.
He was arguing the point.
And we're in a tight match. Does the ref really have the ability to do that? And furthermore, is this the kind of game that we want to have? And I wanted to throw it out to you, but also I wanted to throw it out to you guys because, like, I would say most adults curse on the pickleball court. As a matter of fact, in my last tournament in the PPA, I almost lost a point because I cursed. He gave me a verbal warning. I forgot again and I cursed. And then I was like, no.
Right.
So it's like I've been playing pickleball for 7 hours today. I'm in my bronze medal match at a PPA event. You better not take a point from me, dude.
Right. Well, you pose two different questions. One, do refs have the ability? Yes, they do. The second question, should they have the ability to? No. And Julian Arnold even said it in this clip. And by the way, you could find the clip on many pickleball Instagram handles. Like I believe The Kitchen had it up there. There were a couple others if you want to see the clip that we're referencing. But Julian Arnold said it best when he said to the ref after this exchange, do you want the sport to die? Like, do you just not want it to be interesting? Do you want people to watch?
Yeah.
And that like just spoke volumes to me. It's not like he's cussing out his opponent. That is wrong. You should get a point deducted for that. You don't go at your opponents in that manner. But when you're talking to yourself, I mean, I'm pretty clean. I don't have a potty mouth. I say some stuff on the pickleball court and it just comes out like it's just naturally, but it's always at myself. It's never at my opponent. And I mean, this past weekend I was in a tournament and I said, "Fuh," and said, "Fudge." Like, and the ref said, "Did you almost say a bad word?" I said, "Almost, but I didn't." And I caught myself, cause he had already given a warning prior in the match, not to me, but,
okay.
So I was able to catch myself, but I'm thinking, I just hit a bad shot. Like, is this really the worst thing in the world? We can't,
Yeah. No. And my beef with it is how it was executed, right?
Yeah.
And that he clearly wasn't going after anyone but himself.
Correct.
And he's just talking to himself like we all do. You know, I'm reading the Agassi book right now.
Oh, yes. Open by Andre Agassi. Great book, by the way.
So good.
Pick that one up.
And in it, he's constantly talking about his inner monologue and what he's saying to himself. And so Julian's doing the same thing. He's trying to psych himself up. He's trying to get ready for the next point, whatever it is that he needs to say or do.
Yeah.
Why would that ref interject himself into the point?
Right.
And then, because it could throw off the whole match. I mean, literally, you could get one player really pissed off.
Yeah.
It just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And so that ref was on a power trip, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm a rule follower. Anybody who knows
I know.
me knows I'm a resident rule follower. Like, I was the RA in college, like straight and narrow. But even I found it a little extreme, and I like rules. So I just don't think that should be a thing. Again, it's one thing if it's directing it at a person, meaning your opponent, but to yourself, we should be allowed to talk to ourselves.
Yes.
And I don't know that needs to be at a certain volume.
And I'm the exact opposite. I've always bucked the rules. I've always tried to go around them. And what pisses me off to no end is an arbitrary rule. Just one that's there just to have a rule. I mean, for example, I was just at the beach. Our house was right next to the pier, like 3 streets over or far enough away where it was at a safe distance for me to surf. But the stupid beach said that I had to go down to 5th Street to surf, which meant I had to carry my stand-up paddleboard because the waves were really small, which weighs about 45 pounds, 2 blocks down to go surf. And it's like, why are you harassing me, people? I'm not doing anything. And that rule is dumb.
Right.
Anyway, I digress. Arbitrary rules suck.
Don't make rules just to make them.
Agreed. Agreed. Number 2, is Ben going to drop Colin? I mean, we've been asking this question for a couple of months, but I will tell you, I watched the match against Hayden and Pablo, and there were multiple points where Colin has made a really bad decision and hit a drive into the net, can't reset and fulfill his job, and they're picking on him heavily. Yeah. And then there were some pop-ups too, which was crazy for him. And I almost feel like Colin's getting a little bit mental about it after being picked on for so long.
Not? Yeah.
And Ben looking at him when he doesn't execute perfectly. Because Ben, one thing I've noticed about him is that if you're not executing, he ain't happy. And it's very easy to see it on his face.
Yeah.
He's not smiling at you going, let's go, big boy. We can do this. Come on.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's ever had to.
Right. So family is very important to them, to the Johns family.
Yep.
That's things I've heard. I have not spoken directly to them about that. So I don't have a source. It's just what I've heard, that family is very important. So I imagine he could keep Colin for that reason. But Ben likes to win. Like, I could see Colin getting dropped. I could see Colin shifting over maybe more into a coaching role, kind of like how Anna Lee is.
Okay.
I could see that happening. So he's still heavily involved because he's a genius in this sport. Executing is something different. He knows what to do. And he and Ben have developed this playbook of how to play all of their opponents. Like, you've got to keep Colin's mind there. So I could see maybe if he shifts into a coaching role for Ben, like Lee Waters does for Anna Lee. But the $1 million question would be, who would it be? Who would you put? Oof. Who would you put on the right side?
I'm going to go back to his old partner. I feel like Matt Wright would be the perfect right side guy, and that he's got amazing counters. He's really solid on the drops. I think he would be really good. And, Gabe Tardio might work over there as well. I was going to say that would be the one that I would pick. I would pick a young buck. Yeah. I would say a Gabe Tardio or, drum roll, Hayden Patriquin, who's rocking the left side, but I think could rock the right side just as easily. But I think Hayden plays his best pickleball when he's alpha and moving around. That might be true. And so you would have to see. I would love to see all those pairings. So Ben, if you're watching, those are your new partners, and let's see what's going. Yeah. But it's an interesting question, and again, I feel like the Johns boys have been caught up to, and something has to change if they're going to get back to number one. Yeah. And I say get back to number one because, drum roll, please. There's a new number one in town. Yeah. JW and Dylan. They did it. It is awesome. So really, really pumped for them. Super excited for them. But it's so interesting. Like, I still wasn't very excited for Championship Sunday, knowing that their names were there as well. I feel like we've just seen the Ben and Colin so many times, and we've seen the JW and Dylan so many times on Championship Sunday that I still want a little bit more of a mix-up. I don't know. That's just me being selfish. I love that they're winning. I love it for them. I'm still cheering for the Johns brothers because I still think that they are the smartest people in pickleball, and I think that pickleball IQ goes a long way. Yeah. Yeah. Well, JW and Dylan play a very similar style to the Johns boys. What I find interesting is that they seem to do much better with newer opponents. They don't get taken out in earlier rounds or have like crazy upsets like the Johns have had over the past year. Yeah. So like more solid overall. But you put the Johns against JW and Dylan and they win 98 out of 100 matches there. And I think it's because their styles are similar and maybe they adapted what they're doing based on Ben and Colin. They've adjusted. Yeah. I might die on this hill, but I still feel like Ben and Colin can adjust as well. Okay. I'm not counting them out. No, and I'm not either. Believe you me. I think they can still adjust. Yeah. Yeah. I would love for them to adjust. We will see. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, there's only one PPA this month, and it's towards the end of the month. There is an MLP to watch though. Yeah. So we'll have some fun stuff to talk about. Weeks. Yep. Yeah. And that's mid-season tournament up in Michigan. And from my understanding is I believe the Challenger and the Premier are going to be playing together at times. Oh, interesting. So yeah, let's see if I'm right on that, but should be kind of fun. I like it. All right. And number one. What is it? I love not knowing. Anna Lee Waters. Oh, of course. She's so beast mode. And if you look, everyone knows who she is. And I only put her at number one because the way that she won singles this past weekend. And another triple crown for her. Right. Right? That she was on the verge of losing in that mixed semifinal, by the way. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now, in mixed is kind of the closest to where things are going, but she's dominating with Catherine in the women's game. Yeah. And in singles, I just want to read this stat line to you. Okay. Go for it. And here we go. I'm going to pull up my handy dandy list. Not really. All right. So she goes into the round of 32 against a girl named Purina Imperato.
Oh yeah, she actually has played with JMA before.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, at our Richmond tournament, Pouncy Track. She's been floating around Virginia. I bet she's not too far from us.
I'm sure she's very good, but she got smacked.
Yeah, by Annalie Waters.
11-1, 11-3 in singles.
Yeah.
All right. Annalie then goes to Jeannie Bouchard, who's getting better and doing better.
Yes.
11-1, 11-4.
Okay.
Okay. Then we get into the quarterfinals against Caitlin Christian. Wait for it. 11-1, 11-2.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, between those opponents, did they make 11 points? Hold on.
Right.
3, 8. They got 12 points total
12
in 3
points.
matches on her. Wow. And then she goes to Judith Castillo, 11-2, 11-4. The only person that sort of gives her a game is Catherine in the finals, and she wins 11-6, 11-6.
Unreal. She's on another level.
Just so good. And the other reason I wanted to hold this for number 1 is that on KOTC today, they were talking about Ryan Bear Sherry came to them with an idea. And he says, I want to play Annalie in singles for $100,000 going to charity.
Okay.
All right. And the reason that he did this, and I haven't double checked this, so if I'm wrong, you guys can murder me, but basically, Annalie's singles duper is higher than Ryan Sherry's.
Oh,
and he wants to see, is that real? Can she beat me? And so what do you think? Can Annalie
she can beat him.
Oh my God, that was way too. You didn't even think about it.
I don't need to think about it. Yes, she can beat him, and I bet she could beat some other guys a little bit higher ranked than Ryan Sherry and singles. You don't? Am I crazy?
You were crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit crazy.
Okay,
The men's singles
I'm
game.
an Annalie fan.
Yeah, the men's singles game is so different from the women's singles game.
So yes, I do agree with that.
And between the
But
power,
she's different.
I get she's so good.
Yeah.
But I think Ryan Sherry takes her. I really do.
Did she agree to it?
No, but I hope so.
Okay, so it's like this offer is like out there floating, and we're going to see how she's going to respond. Okay.
But God, I would love for a couple of big companies to get behind this
Yeah,
and
that
say,
would be
let's
pretty
make this
cool.
happen. How cool. I mean, look, does she have anything to lose playing a dude? Only Ryan Sherry
Right.
has something to lose where it's like you lost to a girl.
Right.
But at the same time, she's the
Let me lose
best,
100K.
greatest girl ever. Well, it's not his money either. So.
Oh my gosh.
And doing it all for a
Yeah.
charity, I think it'd be a fun show.
Right.
So hopefully somebody
that
can
would
make
be
that
a great
happen.
show.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I'm a total Annalie fan. I feel like she could. I feel like she probably does. You're telling me that she doesn't ever face men in practice, like Christian Alshon. She's not playing against him in practice.
He would destroy her.
So he might destroy her.
He would destroy her.
Yeah. But like she's got to be taking notes. I don't know. I would love to see it. Put it on TV.
I would too.
Let's go.
I love
Prime
it.
time.
I love your girl Homer.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, she's going to win everything.
She
She's so good.
would.
No.
She would.
Hey, I believe that there are definitely guys out there she can beat.
Yeah. So that's my point. There are guys out there she can
The question
beat.
is like,
Where's
where is the
line?
line? Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
And
so-
I think Ryan Sherry might be below that line.
I really want this to happen now. We're betting real money. When that happens, $20.
That's fine.
$20.
Let's do it. Good.
All right, good.
She's the goat.
All right, guys. Well, if you have made it this far, we thank you. And I have had a ton of fun doing these pods over and over again.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite companies just sent me something that I wanted to send over.
exciting.
So Scott over at Thrive just dropped some trainer paddles. And I have been wanting one of these forever because I've heard a couple of ideas about a trainer paddle tournament.
Ooh.
And how fun would it
That would be pretty cool.
to get everyone with these and just see who's the best, right?
Yeah.
Also, just practicing with these makes you so much better. I've used them time and time again, and Thrive really knocked it out of the park. I mean, they have this in yellow. This is the neon green, and they have the pink, which I believe the pink is already sold out. Surprise, surprise. But Thrive is a great company. They make the Azul, which is definitely my number one paddle in my bag right now. So just wanted to give them a little heads up. And if you like this and you want a trainer paddle, they're $60. And with my code PULSE10, which I'll put right down here, you can save a little bit of money off of it. Anyway, check them out.
Exciting.
Furthermore, Are you subscribed?
Why aren't you?
Yeah. So
If you're not,
take a
hit
moment,
the button.
hit the little button.
Yeah, it's right there. It's easy.
And also let me know your thoughts. Will Ryan Sherry beat Annalie? I mean, is that possible? Because Christy seems to think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stand behind it. It was not an impulsive statement.
No.
Well, it might have been impulsive, but I stand by it.
Yeah, you can stand by it, but you did get there quick. It's all good. Well, we thank you guys. It's been a ton of fun. I hope you enjoyed the pod. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.